Shabbat Shalom. You know, we are one parasha behind the parasha that they're going in Eretz Israel. But we are in a very interesting portion, Shelach Lecha. This is the portion about the spies, the one that they went to reconnoiter the land that they were going to take, that the Creator has given to Israel. It's not interesting. If you hear something like that the Creator has given you the land. You know? And here there is an important concept about the Torah and about Judaism in the sense of biblical Judaism or biblical Torah. Okay? It's about the Creator give us the principles, but we need to make them work. He doesn't make it work for us. We need to be participants. That is the reason that we call the Torah a living way, you know, because we are alive living the Torah. And the Torah principles in life. And one of the things, if you remember, I gave you 4 steps, like that we call it. Emunah, Bitachon, do you remember? Bechirah Hofshi, and Kavanah. I will let all of you know it very quickly, because each one of them has a reason to exist. When we receive the emunah, the faith, you know, that faith only becomes okay or functional when we activate it. And how we activate it? We put our trust in it. That's the bitachon that we start doing. Now, the Creator has given to all of us a capability of deciding and making decisions for ourselves, to think for ourselves. You know, we are not robots. Many of you, sometimes they are accustomed to say, well, I want to ask the rabbi what I can do. You know? No, don't blame the rabbi for your mistakes. You need to go and check the Torah and trying to analyze and to see what it says and put it in practice where you understand. And when you are confused, you talk to others and you can get, you know, in the understanding of many comes the wisdom of the Creator. But don't allow to be put in a tunnel. Don't allow to make you supposedly somebody like a horse that has tunnel vision. You know, you need to be more ample, more open to other things to be able to evaluate. Here, in this story, in this portion that we are going to see, there's a very interesting statement, and we always talk about the spies. But I want to bring you to something different. I want to talk about those ones who are not Jews or Israelites by birth. I want to talk to the silent heroes. And in this community we have many. Many of you decided to follow the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, even that you were not born Israelite or you were not born a Jew. And you became part of our mishpacha, or part of our family. You did that. And once you decided to be part of us, we needed to include you in our center and to treat you like a one of us. No differences. Not that we are better, we are pure land, or anything like that. We are equals in every sense. The only situation that you needed to understand that you needed to align with one of the 13 tribes. People say, oh, no, you cannot even get in with the Levites. No, whatever you get in the Levites, you know, and you start. But I won't make you any new religion. What I want to make you to understand that you could be part of the people of Israel. And whatever tribe you decided to be part, the Creator will accept you because He will determine what will be your functions. And here the story is, there is a personality that is known by many, but is not really known for many who he really was. There, in this portion, there are two heroes. One is called Yehoshua bin Nun, or Hoshea bin Nun, and then later on he was called Yehoshua. And the other hero was called Caleb. You know, it's very interesting, the roots of this word Caleb. You know, the etymology of the word. Caleb, from the heart. And you know Caleb, what it means in Hebrew? Dog. And that already, but that name already is telling you there was not an Israelite. Was a Goy, a Gentile. And he became a Goyim Sedakim, a righteous Gentile. And he was such a righteous Gentile, he was better than the Israelites himself. Not only that, but being who he was, you know, he became the prince of the princes of the tribes of Israel. Prince of the tribe of Yehudah. You know, today we are called Jewish because of the tribe of Judah. Really, the real term needed to be still Israelites, because not all the Jews are from the tribe of Yehudah. But now it's a general term. Oh, you're Jewish. Maybe you are a Kohen or you're a Levi. You're Jewish. You know? And that's all to give you an idea. And Caleb was a prince of the tribe of Yehudah, and he was not an Israelite. Can you believe that? Our sages dislike that part. Why? Because they have made believe us, the Jews, the Israelites, that we're better than anybody else. They have made believe that we are set apart because we are very important. And totally the contrary. We were set apart to be servants, not to be served. But that, we don't like it, because all of us, we want to be princes or queen or kings. And here Caleb becomes part of the tribes, Yehudah. And he's sent to make a tour around the land that they were going to take it. Interestingly, you need to know that there are two narratives about this situation. You can find the one here in chapter 13 and 14 of Bamidbar, or book of Numbers. And also you can find it in the first chapter of Devarim, chapter 1, verses 22 and following. Two different narratives. In the second one, it's going to be very clear to tell you that Moshe Rabbeinu is accusing the Israelites that because of them, they sent them to reconnoiter the land. Reconnoiter. Reconnoiter. Okay. They reconnoitered the land. Okay. And they went there. Now, this is why it's so important. They have seen in the reading of the Haftorah, we read the story about Rahab, the lady that had an hotel, no? And one of the things that she said is, we have heard and we know what your God did for you. Open the seas and destroy the enemies. And we want to be on your side. And an unbeliever or a person that is not very good conduct, what are you going to call it? It's acknowledging the Creator. And in this portion, we're going to see one after the other, Gentiles who came to be part of Israel. They were not pure land, but they had something that many of us we were lacking. Courage. Here in this portion, when Moshe Rabbeinu said to them, look at the land, see this, and see all these things, and bring us something to see it, he said, please be courageous. And what they do, these princes, they were not anybody. They were very strong men. They were not wishy-washy. They were warriors. They were strong men. They were macho men. Oh, we cannot do anything. We are going to die. We are like grasshoppers. They are giants and we are little bitty pygmies. And you know, and only Caleb and Yehoshua stand up. And they speak louder. You know what these people does? Let's get another leader and go back to Egypt. This is my strong Israel. This is my people. It is time that we speak for what it is, not to trying to put it in the air. Yes. Many times Israel is Israel, and in spite of the people of Israel, I used to say, Israel is a beautiful country. The problem, there are too many Israelis. Because we need to be one thing. If we are not dedicated to the Torah, if we're not dedicated to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we lose our identity. We lose who we really are. And we have been selected to be light to the world, not to be wishy-washy, to be a strong stand-up. Why? Not because us, but who is with us. The prophets say, not by power, not by might, but by my ruach, by my presence. This is the way that we understand Israel. And Caleb, a Gentile, son of Jephunneh, a Kenizzite, Edomite. You know, even related to the tribes that were around Israel. And he is the one that is going to signal. And you know also why we know that he was not a true Israelite by birth? Because what was one of his rewards? That he was going to inherit the land in Hebron. He didn't need to inherit anything if he was already part of one of the tribes of Israel, and that was part of the tribe of Judah. And look at Hebron, what it is right now. And we need to start doing a self-examination. And we need to be grateful to the Goyim Tzedakим. And we need to warn our own dear rabbis that what they are teaching is wrong. The Torah is not for us to keep it and hide it from the rest of the world. The Torah is for us to give it away to the rest of the world. It is not that the 613, the Teriag, is for us. The Ten Commandments that cover everything is for the whole world, including us. And what are we teaching to the people, to the rest of the world? We, the Jews, are the only one that we need to keep the Torah. The rest of the world is exempted. And the only thing that you need to follow is the no anik, the no hide laws. And you ask any rabbi to tell you where in the Torah are those 7 laws. They don't exist. It's the product of their own imagination. And in that way, they have the chutzpah to divide the people and hire us and lower the rest. And the Creator has done totally the opposite. We, Israel, we are to serve, not to be served. We, Israel, we are not put in the top. We are the one that push people to get to the top. But we have been contaminated by the philosophy of this world. We have been contaminated to say, me first. I am the only one. Número uno. And the Creator didn't teach us those things. Then we are in a war. And you know already the wars, the religious wars. Every religion is going to tell you that they are right and the rest of the world is wrong. That's the reason that I believe that biblical Judaism is not a religion. It's a way of life. That's the reason I have been speaking to you for so long about that it's not to follow a religion, it's to follow the Creator and His revelation. And He gave us to each one of us, He has given us brains. He has given us the Bechira Hofshi, the free will to learn. Many people oppose that we don't have free will. We need to be like the cattle. We need to be followers only. And that's totally contrary to what the Creator teaches. There needs to be order, and there needs to be ethics, morality. And look at what we have today. Everybody does whatever they want to do. And there is no any longer moral values. There is no longer any ethics in any way. The turpitude of the world is destroyed. Because why? Because our morality has gone to the drain, to the sewage. Our heads are full of those things that come from the sewage. And we think that is the greatest thing that happened. Today, they're celebrating a great day about a way of life that is totally contrary to the Torah. And everybody is putting like it's the greatest thing that has happened to our universe. There needs to be celebration. And the true believer needs to be saddened, needs to be really, really broken-hearted for what is happening in this world. Caleb opposed to everybody, and he was a Gentile. Let me read to you what Caleb said. In chapter 14, look at what he say. First of all, Caleb say before, in chapter 13, when they bring the very negative report. Verse 30, chapter 13. Caleb called the people around Moses to silence, and they say, and then he said, we must march immediately and take it. We are certainly able to conquer it. But the men who had been with him say, we cannot attack these people. They are stronger than we are. And they began disparaging the country that they had reconnoitred to the Israelites, saying, the country that we have been to reconnoiter is a country that devours its inhabitants. And all the people that we saw, they were enormous sized giants. And we saw there the Anakim, descendants of the giants, and we felt like a grasshoppers, and so we seemed to them. Not only we feel like that, but they saw us like that. Let me tell you, one of the worst things that you can have is what I call a low self-esteem. That doesn't mean being humble, by the way. Don't confuse low self-esteem with being humble. Humble is a quality of greatness. Low self-esteem is a quality of downness. And here, we are nobody, we are nothing. And who are we discrediting when we say we are nobody? Who are we discrediting when we say we are nothing? The Creator. He made us to His likeness and image. And then, the whole community, chapter 14, cry out in dismay. And his people wept, and all the night. And all the Israelites met, and Moses and Aaron, and the whole community say to them, would to God we had died, would be better to God that we had died in Egypt. Look at these people. Or even that we had died in the desert. Why was the Lord brought us to this country for us to perish by the sword, and our wise children seized by the booty? Should we not do better if we go back to Egypt? How many of us that we have found a relationship with the Creator, later on we have doubted, and we say, I was better when I was without the Lord, and run back to my old life? And look at what he's saying. And they say to one another, let's appoint a leader and go back to Egypt. In other words, we don't want Moshe Rabbeinu anymore. Let's do like the cowards do. Let's run away. You know how here was not any any Erev Rab. The people who were saying were the most high chief, the princes of Israel that have made that to the people. They were not the Erev Rab. Because our sages, they love to blame others for our own faults. When the Creator said that we as individuals, we need to recognize our own faults, and that's the way that we can find true teshuvah. Don't blame others. Don't point your fingers with others. You know, it's always very easy to point your fingers to others. Why did you do it? He made me do it. Wait a minute. Nobody can make you do it. You can say no. You know, right now it's very popular in the world of Hollywood and these things and the whole situation, the powerful people now, even in Israel. One of the former presidents of Israel was put in jail because supposedly he molested certain women 20, 40 years ago. You know? What was it? Yeah, that is bad. Okay, a man does something like that to a woman. But let me ask you this question. In a free country like that, the woman doesn't have the right to say no. No, and here in Hollywood, how many women did what supposedly they sold themselves to get a career? Let's be fair. Yes, it's wrong. That behavior is wrong. I am not supporting those people. But what I'm saying is, let's please be honest and look responsibility to those ones who they do their own things. Maybe that woman couldn't become a very wonderful actress, and maybe she didn't have the opportunity to be the actress. But at least she kept her own integrity. But when you sold yourself, doesn't matter how you do it, that's prostitution. And here, look at what, and Moses and Aaron, they threw themselves and they cried out to the Creator. And they say, and then Joshua, the son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, two of the men who had reconnoitered the country, tore their clothes and addressed the whole community of the Israelites and as follows. The country that we went to reconnoiter is a good country, an excellent country. If the Lord is pleased with us, He will lead us to this country and give us to us. It is the country of flowing milk and honey. But do not rebel against the Lord or be afraid of the people of the country, for we shall gobble them up. The protecting shade has deserted them while we have the Lord on our side. Do not be afraid of them. If God is with me, who can be against me? How many of us we give up so easily? When you have the truth, when you have the covering of the Creator, don't be afraid. Keep going. Doesn't mean that you're going to be popular. Here is a very good example about the majority were against the right thing. Don't follow majorities. They lead you to destruction. Follow the Creator. Let me jump to chapter 15. And this will be for my dear fellow rabbis. Chapter 15. I want to start verse 13. Every citizen of the country will act in this way wherever he offers food burnt and smell pleasing things to the Lord. And if a foreigner, an outsider, a girl who resides among you, with your descendant, intends to offer these things to him, pleasing to the Creator, he will do as you do. Listen carefully. Verse 15. Please, for all of you who are not born Israelite Jewish, put this in your head. It's very important. Don't believe what the rabbis say. Look at what he says here. There will be one Torah for you, members of the community, and the residents like you, a Torah binding your descendants forever before the Lord, you and the foreigner. You and the foreigner, you are not different. You are the same. One Torah, one hukim, one statute will be applied for you and the foreigner. My dear Gerim, my dear non-being born Jews, but you have been taken by our Creator, brought to Israel. You are part of us. And you have as much right as we have. And you are not better or worse than us. Because the Creator is the one that has called you. Because there is no way that man can call you. And there is no hocus pocus in the world or push it that they can make you one thing or to the other. There is no man who can convert you from one side to another. It's only the Creator that can give you that calling. Doesn't matter how many people put the magic powders over your head. They cannot convert you. All the religions convert you. You are no any longer this, now you are no longer that. You used to be a cow, now you are a sheep. That cannot happen. You are a human being. You have been born with a neshama. The Creator is there in you, and He has pulled you to His people. But the religion needs to have power. And they need to command and tell you, you are or you are not. They are the ones that do the hocus pocus. If you do this and you do that, and you do this and you don't take a bath, and don't take a bath, wash yourself, don't wash. You know, all the rules to convert you. Read about Ruth, the great-grandmother of King David. And look what was his conversion. I follow you because your God will be my God and you people will be my people. That was his conversion. He didn't go through extra hocus pocus. You have the right to call yourself what you want to call yourself. Continue. After, in verse 27 say, in chapter 15, if any individual who has sinned by inadvertence, he will offer a yearling kid as a sacrifice for sin. The priest will perform the rite of expiation before the Lord for the person who has gone astray, owing to this sin of an inadvertence. No, another word to say inadvertence was no unconscious or no intentional. No intentional. No intentional. Okay. Having been made for him, he will be forgiven, whether he is an Israelite or a girl. You will have one Torah for anyone who sins. You see, it's not that you need to do the 7 Noah laws, and we need to give the 613. Because what it is not about what you do in the performing, but who you are within yourself, in your relationship with the Creator, and in your teshuvah. Acknowledging what you have done wrong, and confessing before the Creator, and making it right what you have done wrong. And immediately comes the 60th after that. And the 60th is a way that the Creator is going to tell us to remember what He has done for us, not to forget what the people of Israel forgot, what the Lord has done to take it out of Egypt. You know, if today you want to understand the 60, it's not so much about the 600, like our rabbis tell you, know, they are, the word 60 is 600, plus you have 8 chords, plus 5 knots, you know, 613. That's the way that they, and then here say that you need to have a blue, you know. For many years, almost if you check all your 60s are all white, because the rabbi decided that we had not found yet the blue thing, because this is what religion does. Everything becomes what they tell you. And they are the only one. Now finally you have discovered now this shell in the sea, and now they can do again the blue thing. But you know, these 6 is the only thing they are important about. The colors is the white and blue, the flag of Israel. It's very clear. You know, you have, you can give it all the understanding that you want, and if you are a poet, you can write beautiful things about white and blue. But what is important here it is what it means, what it does. Today, there are people that they put something red or blue in their wrist, or they put a little a notch in the ring, in the fingers, to what? To remember. I have seen many people wearing certain things to remember. They say, I remember, I remember. That's what it is. To remember. But to remember what? What the Creator said. You know, in the time of Yeshua, our great rabbi, Yeshua ben Joseph, he looked at his contemporaneous and he said, you with your fringes, you're showing off. And they were in competition who had the longest fringes, 60s. I come from the Sephardic background. We're a little more modest to say. We were at 60s inside. The Ashkenazis, they like to show off outside. And longer that they are, much better. We don't show it. Well, you know why? Because the 60 was made for you and him. Not for you to advertise to everybody how religious you are. Sometimes we need to understand the Word of God for what it is, not for what we want to make it be. There are many interpretations. But you need to go to the heart of the meaning of the teaching. Because if you do not remember what the Creator is doing for you, how can you help others? And to finish this, I say I was going to talk about my Goyim Sedakim. What I am so grateful to all of you, that not being Jewish has become part of us. Because your strength, your joy, and your desire to serve overwhelm me. I wish that my people would have that dedication and that desire to serve our God the way that you are doing it. Toda Rabba. And give blessings and honors to our Creator. Baruch Hu. Shabbat Shalom.
Again, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Just a question before you.
Yes.
The Erev Rav, contrary to what a lot of the rabbis teach, don't they just mean the Gentiles who attached themselves to Israel and said, your God is my God? Is
Yes.
that okay?
Yeah, it's called the mixed multitude.
Right.
But what they've done is they've mixed it together with what's called the asasuf. The asafsuf were the rabble rousers, were
Right.
those people who just really caused problems because they weren't the ones who trust, but
Whether Jew or Gentile.
whether Jew or Gentile, they
Right,
were,
right.
and there were even those among the 10, the 10 scouts who went to reconnoiter or tour. In Hebrew, it's tour, believe it or not, tour the land to bring a report back to Moses. They didn't bring it back to Moses. They brought it to all the people. And by crying out, we can't do it, we can't take the land. And the first one to stand up was Caleb, the son of Yefuneh. And I remember there are many rabbis who said no, he was a Jew, and they tried to prove that he was a native born Israelite. But if you go back to Genesis and you see there's a whole list of names of all the tribes that were surrounding Israel, the Kenizzites were one of those tribes. They were an enemy tribe. They weren't part of the native born Israelites, and who God chose. He took us out for a reason from the nations. We are actually called Goy Israel, the nation of Israel. The word Goy means nation. It doesn't mean we've turned it to Gentile, but it actually means nation. And the only reason that we were separated was because we were given a calling. And our calling was to take the Torah, take the Ten Commandments, bring it to the rest of the world so that all of us could live under God's principles. And when we don't, we get into trouble. It's not a difficult message, but we have complicated it over and over. Rabbi used to say that there's no such thing as conversion. When you convert someone, you're really changing from one man-made religion to another man-made religion. We see that with Jews who are converting to Christianity. They're converting from rabbinic Judaism to Christian understanding. But what God gave us was something called biblical Judaism, directly from the Torah, directly from the words of Moses on Mount Sinai. And it's not complicated, but it doesn't serve our purpose, because the purpose of religion, as in politics, is to create a hierarchy. There's those above who are more equal than the other, while all the others have to run like sheep and follow them without question. And God is telling us, I gave you free will. I gave you a brain. Think, work it out, get advice from others, because not everything is so straightforward. Not everything is simple. It may be simple, but it's not easy to do. Every day we're faced with with decisions to make about something, and we may not know because we're so involved in our own pain or our own confusion or the history of our past. There's so many things that stop us from seeing things as God meant us to be. I liked what he said when he talked about when we are humble, humility is a sign of greatness. But low self-esteem, has nothing to do with being humble. When we say we can't do this, or we say we're not good enough, when we put ourselves down constantly, and I suffer from that. I suffer from a problem of low self-esteem, thinking, oh, people will love me if I just show them how weak I am or have low self-esteem. It's nicht git. It's not good. God doesn't want that from us. He says, I have made you in a wonderful and fearful way. You are wonderfully and fearfully
And
made.
even that knowledge, because I thought about that a lot, it's like Hilul Hashem when you have low self-esteem, like God made a mistake in
Right.
creating you. But that could help to know that that you are beautifully and wonderfully made, like Psalm 139, should help you to say, okay, I am not a mistake. It should help you in your own walk in life from low self-esteem. It should help you, because no, that's a man-made thing.
Yeah.
And also there's always growth in your life. So it's wrong. And that itself should help you to know, that God has not created us falsely or broken, or we're not a mistake.
Exactly. It should, as you say, or like you said, your father always say there shouldn't be any shoulds, because although it should, we always have those in our families who have grown up with us, who haven't really acknowledged the changes that God has made in our lives because they haven't made the changes in theirs. So they're always there to point the finger, showing you, who do you think you are?
Well, it's not easy, nobody, that's for sure.
No, it's not easy.
Hear me?
And I hear you, Brian. Yes, Baruch.
I just told Rabbi Caleb wasn't a Jew, and he
And
said,
what,
and he says he's from the so-called that he's Jewish.
I know that's what they believe, but if you go to the Torah and you really look at it very clearly, you see that he wasn't. But that's why our rabbi said, don't necessarily believe the rabbis, or the pastors, or the imams, or anybody who calls himself a head of a religion. We have to go back and check, what does the Torah itself say? What does the Word of God say? And that's, he said, and one of the things that he said, and people will come to him as the rabbi and ask him what to do. And he says, I'm just a man, go to the Torah and look it up yourself. You can ask my advice as you ask for the advice of others, because one of the things it says in the Tanakh is there is wisdom when in the advice of counsel, in the counsel of many. In other words, ask a bunch of people who you trust for advice, but in the final analysis, you need to make that decision yourself, because God gave us brains.
And also, we often know more than we want to admit.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's an excuse, if to want to be endorsed or whatever, validated by somebody else, including the rabbi.
Right.
We already know the answer to some of our questions, and we know that it's wrong sometimes. But
Yeah.
we want to, it's almost an excuse to see how much we can get away with. I'm not saying that's always the case, but I remember an example that the rabbi had talked about. This is an extreme, but
Was this two of the tribes that they were afraid to go? No? Or 10 were afraid
sorry,
to go?
Brian, just let me finish, and then I'll, yeah. So this man went up, oh no, he went up to a woman and said, I have to confess something. I've been lusting after you. And that's not a confession. That's seeing how far he can get with that person. So we know more than we sometimes
Step into your
even.
tray. You're coming late? Are you done or no?
I'm done.
Okay.
Brian, could you put yourself on
I
mute?
just put him on mute. Go ahead,
Okay,
Miriam.
all right. I'm just saying, it always starts with ourselves, even low self-esteem. And I know that you very much do this, and I know I do it, and a lot of people do it. You really have to examine even the motivation or something else. What's below that? Sometimes it's legitimate. We're a product of our upbringing, and a lot of things have happened. But sometimes also, is it a lack of trust in God? In my case, it's often that. Do I really trust God? We're beautifully and wonderfully made. That's God did not make a mistake when he made us. So
Yeah. And sometimes it's just pride. Sometimes
Yeah.
we do something where somebody may hurt us by something that they say or that they don't do. We're feeling so good about ourselves, and then someone will come along and, not fit into our scenario. There's so many things that we have to battle with on a daily basis.
Yeah, pride is a big one.
Yeah.
I'm going through something with my sister. It's not even, it's okay. but we think so differently on Israel, etc., etc. And I'm trying to, she's writing me things, so of course I'm going to respond, even though we've agreed to let it go and not talk about these things because we don't have there's no discussion because we just don't feel the same way. But when somebody sends you something, so I respond. And then I was really thinking, like, how much is also pride, like to say, you know what, I'm wrong about this. We really have to be honest with ourselves and really have to always be willing to be wrong. Maybe
Yes.
not on our whole premise, not on the idea of there is a God. That's not something that can be argued. You could not believe that, but that's non-negotiable. I'm talking about certain things that are more gray. And pride is the biggest enemy. And we have to say, all right, if we're wrong about certain things, we just really have to be open to being wrong.
Right. How many times have we been wrong in our past?
Yeah.
And then we've had to really eat our humble pie, as Rabbi would say, eat our humble pie and just say, look, I was wrong. But sometimes when you say that to another person, they don't accept that. No, yeah, you were wrong.
Oh, yeah, but
And
that's their pride, and that's not right.
yeah, but that's
Mm.
what we're arguing with, and it to me it's sad because if we can't get along in our own families, how are we expecting the world to get along?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
Multiply your family times billions.
exactly, exactly.
Well,
But
that's why, like, one of the things, which is such an obvious thing, but about not being intimidated by the majority. Like, I
yeah,
find that a real issue in the world right now. The
yeah,
world, the paradigm of the world is so freaky
yeah,
that most of my relatives and all that tend to buy a lot of the stuff that the world is selling right now.
right.
And I look like I guess the old days they would say a real square, a real almost redneck in some of my beliefs. And I'm
Yeah,
not a redneck because that's not what redneck really means. But to them, it looks like, wow, like it's medieval to some of the things I believe about homosexuality, about transgender, and we are not in the majority. And
no,
and without it being an aggressive thing, we have to be honest about it,
yeah.
and it's challenging.
Well, because there also was a time when the church was very strong and it took a stance about homosexuality and it was against the law to be a homosexual and they could be arrested and beaten up and killed and that like the person was called disgusting, like it was real, it
But
went too
that's wrong
far.
too. That's the
It
other.
exactly, it went too far to the other extreme. The act of homosexuality, of a man sleeping with another man, God says is wrong, but he doesn't condemn the person. He want
No,
it's like, why isn't it why don't we get as upset about someone who steals? I mean, stealing is terrible. Of course, we feel like actually, maybe we do get so upset. It's almost like rape when someone comes into our home and steals something that doesn't belong to them. But every single commandment that he gave us, every single principle that he gave us is something that will help us in our own life and to help us to learn how to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. But if we stand up and we become self-righteous and, oh, I don't do that. Look, they are much worse than we are. That's where we have to really examine ourselves. But this whole issue, when I see what's happening, how those who are Torah observant people who say, like, I remember when we were involved in the Messianic community, and there was a song. Remember the song that came out? Jew and
yeah,
Gentile,
I love
one
that.
in Messiah, one in Yeshua, one in the olive tree. They would
Right.
say we were one. And yet, when I would go to meetings, they would not allow Gentiles who wanted to join with us to take any positions of authority. They,
Yeah, but we're
because they
so
were
cute.
afraid they would say, well, because there's so many more Gentiles, that once we allow the Gentiles to take over, we will become a church. We will lose. So, but they were missing the point. It's
Yeah,
not, yeah, they were, because again, what they were doing was converting. They were, they wanted Jews who believed in Jesus to convert to another religion. We are not Christians, but we are also not rabbinic Jews. We're
right,
biblical Jews. We're
right,
biblical Jews and Gentiles who want to live the principles of the Torah. That's not a religion. That is a relationship. It's very
right.
different. And even Christians will say, well, I'm in a relationship. I'm in a relationship with Jesus, who is God. Well, but that's not right either. There's only one God. There's only one Torah for all humanity. But everybody's fighting for power and for the right to be right.
Yeah, I think pride is at the bottom of so much.
Yeah.
And also, there's certain things like I would say, especially with homosexuality and the transgender thing, there are certain things that are not as easy to talk about. Like to me, the thing is the whole fabric of the universe has some basic principles, like let's say male and female, and stuff like that, which you can't prove it except if you just look at the world, everything functions that way. Animals, even trees, there are male trees, and so there are certain givens and absolutes in nature, and scientists will tell you that. So it's so strange how some atheists have to know that. Like, let's say a biologist, they know that. They're dealing with that all the time. So
Hmm.
why is it? But it's like such a wacko world that the same people who say, I don't believe in God and I'm an atheist and I'm a scientist. I said, okay, well, look at science. Let's not even I just find it very strange because God created a certain type of world, um, and their principles embodied right in the basic creation. Go look at your flowers. Go look at a tree, a dog, you know? And these are the things that I find really hard because I have a relative, a few gay relatives. Not that I won't argue with them, but I'm sort of the odd man out, and it's unspoken that, oh, Miriam feels this way. We don't talk
Yeah.
about it anymore, but I
Yeah.
can feel the presence of that.
Yeah. And they look at
How
us
do
as
you talk
being,
about it?
I know, and they look at us as being judgmental, and we're not judging the
No,
person
no,
because
no.
God, but if you take God out of the equation, like God said, go forth and multiply. Well, how were two men going to multiply? You know, it just doesn't work. How are two women going to
But
multiply?
even then, yeah, that I agree with you there. But there are, like, look, I haven't multiplied. It doesn't mean literally every single individual, but God didn't create, as you know, we joke, Adam and Steve or whatever, or it just, to me, the basic principles of the universe are male and female, negative
Exactly.
and positive, even in electricity.
Exactly.
It's poles. It's just a observant. You can observe that.
Right. But again, if you take the creator of the universe and his principles, his moral rules or instructions out of the quotient, then anything goes.
Yeah, that's what's happening now.
That's what's happening now.
Literally anything goes.
Anything goes. And it's gotten worse because of social media, because things spread a lot faster, because it's like the spiral. Everything is spiraling downward faster. And it's like I said before, we've opened Pandora's box. And there is we can't even begin to imagine. I mean, I wonder sometimes, what was it like at the time of Noah? Because if God thought that it was so bad that every human being, every animal on the face of the earth had to be wiped out. I mean, it seems it was it was worse then. Sodom and Gomorrah, they were wiped out. The nations, those cities were wiped out. So it's not new in history what's happening
No,
now.
no.
And when homosexuality has become almost venerated, this was the same as in the time of Alexander the Great. You know, those things were venerated. So we see it's not new in history, but it's hard for us as a minority to stand up against the majority and not be a little bit afraid. You
Well,
know,
what's happening now, which is really, well, it's nothing new, scary. It's what they call identity politics, like
yeah,
race, everything based on race, everything based on sexuality, blah blah blah. So you
right,
have your own little groups. Like for example, just recently, a young black guy, I forget his name, it's all in the news, murdered, stabbed a white guy, and um anyway, I may be wrong in this, but instead of looking at it like a colorblind way, has nothing to do with him being black or the kid being white. Yes, of course, have always been injustices, but I'm going beyond that. It's a very clean case of murder. And
right,
now the riots, I think it's in Texas, I'm not sure, are like unbelievable about how unjustly the black guy was treated, and he's sentenced to 35 years in prison, blah, blah, blah. And to me, that's what's wrong with the world now. We've lost our standards. And there are a lot of black people who are upset because why is this a matter of being black? I'm not talking, I'm being,
right. It's
it's
not
not
an issue
black
of
and white,
black.
but
Right.
there are black people who are against all these
Yeah,
riots because they say it's not about being black or white. It has to
right.
do with being human and what's
Exactly.
just and isn't. But now everything is identity politics,
Yes, exactly.
sexuality, about color, about this and that.
But it's,
Instead
yeah,
about what's right and wrong, the Ten Commandments.
exactly. Exactly. Well, I don't know if anyone has something they want.
Pride Week is in Vermont.
What, Brian?
They're they're congratulating Pride Week or something in
Yes.
Vermont.
Yes, I know. And you know, what is there to be proud about? Men walking around naked. I mean, honestly, in front of children, it's gone a little too far. Um, and I liked what he said about the tzitzit. You know, it's a matter of everything that God gave us was a matter to help us remember the Torah, the Ten Commandments, the tablets. Remember my principles. Putting the mezuzah on the doorpost. Remember when you walk into your home. He tells us when you go into the land and you grow fat, remember me. Don't forget me. I am the God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of slavery. Remember who I am. Remember what I did for you. Remember what I do for you now. It's everything is about remembering. Yes, Moshe, what are you saying? Indeed, you see that people practicing homosexuality are being covered and defended by some government officials, and also some governments have earned and benefited a lot out of it. It's crazy. It's happening right here in Canada. We see the whole world plummeting into darkness, and we need to be a light. Those of us who are part of this community, part of communities wherever we live, we are a minority. But it's like God said, like Rabbi said, Zechariah, it's not by power, it's not by might, but by my ruach, by my presence. God is with us. We want to be followers of the living God and not followers of men and religion. We need to be careful and not to worship the golden calf, not to follow a religion because they give us money. Not we're not looking for power. We're looking for a relationship with the God of Israel.
Somebody yelled at go to church in the service.
Who is saying that?
somebody when at the service I went to, and somebody said, go to church, she was making them talk to go to church or something.
Why? Because you told them that you believe in Jesus?
No, that wasn't me. There was somebody there when I was on the ladies' side. Something like, why don't they go to the church? Stuff like that.
Yeah, but I'm missing the point, Brian. Who are they talking about?
She just said there was some lady talking out loud, and she's telling somebody to go to the church.
Uh-huh. Okay, well, I don't really know what the situation was, but God is with us wherever we are, whether we're in a building, whether, like right now, we're in our homes. And God is with us. God is with us. There's nowhere we can hide. And there is only one, as it said in Numbers 15, one Torah, one Chukah Olam, one ordinance for both native-born Israelites and the Ger, like Caleb, like Ruth, like Rahav. We see over and over people who have left their gods and want to come to the one God. And that's who we are in this community. We want to worship, we want to serve the one God. And service is work. Israel was chosen to be servants, God's representative, God's messengers to all the nations, that there is only one God, and to follow his commandments, not to create another God out of any human being or any animals or worship anything other than the one God. So, with that, I thank you all for joining our service today, and I pray that God would be with us, help us in all the struggles that we have, not to be afraid, but to come to Him, always to come to Him, and to be servants to each other. So I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Isabel. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom,
Bye.
Mugalia and Moshe.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Bye.
Bye.